Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from deep Australian outback infiltration, weaponized indigenous alignment loops, and the sun-bleached desert containment zones of cross-continental walks, and plunge straight into the high-octane, calculation-heavy tracking grids of multi-lineage magical academy infiltration, weaponized sleeping curse loops, and the fiercely protective, dangerously fragile world of an elite villain kid squad running a raw tactical survival loop. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, paranoia-slicked parameters of the Auradon Prep student ecosystem, exploring the lethal analytical parameters of a devastating, kingdom-shattering royalty matrix with World of Reading Descendants 3 Stronger Together Level 2, the exceptional, pulse-pounding early literacy masterpiece engineered by the absolute undisputed global sovereign of breathtaking fairy tale secrets, double-blind relationship traps, and high-velocity teenage relational friction. Disney Books. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, hyper-vigilant team of reformed villain kid assets running an unyielding truth extraction loop, a calculating, manipulative shadow network of vengeful princess assets running an elite proximity tracking and kingdom erasure routine, and an absolute defense against an encroaching, pink magic-slicked locked room spell network collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn psychological fairy tale thrillers, where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of rigged crown proposals, corrupt bedtime story gaslighting campaigns, and a deadly ring of active personal frame-ups while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised fantasy boarding school ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated sidekick boundaries, and absolute emotional stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory executioner asset weaponizing institutional royal mechanics, and where the author utilizes an incandescent early reader vocabulary-controlled action-adventure where reformed villain descendants must neutralize a rogue sleeping princess who has hijacked Maleficent's spell scepter diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Disney Books completely dominates the high-precision kindergarten Jeopardy meets suffocating identity eraser puzzles dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating domestic paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Gillian Flynn, Lucy Foley, B.A. Paris, and Sally Hepworth, while treating realistic kingdom layouts, complex dark possessive loyalty arcs, and protective high-density fairy tale extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legendary powerhouse VK assets, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of severe royal expectations, absolute childhood liquidation logs, and a hyper-visible targeting canvas within a psychopathic princess's localized tracking database. Behind our protagonists' rigorous etiquette footprints, defensive conversational shields, and sharp observation metrics lies an intricate matrix of hidden structural vulnerabilities, deeply buried Isle of the Lost past timeline leverage, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Their collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight following an unexpected engagement announcement, their entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from an encroaching internal sabotage network, parsing complex behavioral shifts in their daily student interaction loops, and shielding their vulnerable personal sovereignty node from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches their active scanning perimeter. Immediately following King Ben's public proposal to Mal, our primary assets register a total security breach when his former girlfriend, Audrey, subsequently designated as a rogue, vengeful, high-society adversarial asset, initializes an irregular retaliation sequence, finding her inner villain and broadcasting a lethal sleeping curse deployment across the entirety of Auradon. Behind Audrey's pristine pastel civilian facade and elite behavioral mapping style lies an intricate matrix of severe relational malice and a cold target containment blueprint. As the hostile adversarial investigation phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across a ticking clock timeline, the unauthorized validation of her magical metrics reveals that their dream alliance was an explicitly engineered trap. The standard boundaries of routine royal courtesy and peaceful civilian compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war behind closed academy doors, where a highly manipulative adversarial asset launches aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress their survival data stream and execute their complete systemic erasure. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the large palace gardens, dark museum vault spaces, and private fortified residential rooms into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective, hyper-vigilant VK unit is forced to deploy their massive intuitive tradecraft, elite behavioral mapping skills, and raw physical stamina to preserve their focus before their adversary's relentless, calculation-heavy proximity containment phase permanently deletes their boundaries. The threat vector remains purposeful and resolute, determined to deploy deep magic evidence manipulation loops, continuous psychological gaslighting via pink lighting arrays, and persistent dominance to shatter their defense, only to realize their hardened survival protocols and shifting counter-narratives match their opponent's raw tactical speed step for step. Every midnight archival excavation of ancient spell archives, every silent choice to stand off against an encroaching adversary behind standard architectural barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at their reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the Predator Network's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Disney Books reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial royal ambush or managing an invasive personal disclosure. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of domestic manipulation and psychopathic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fierce, protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their building survival alliance. A brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that deep-seated obsession has tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient protagonist must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a fairy tale thriller, Level 2 literacy captivity noir, magic boarding school mystery, high-velocity contemporary puzzle masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one unfamiliar word bank vocabulary term triggers a fatal Academy showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Disney Books writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive royal perfume, old spellbooks, neon dragon magic, dark adrenaline, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this contemporary franchise marvel into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply breathing. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. World of Reading Descendants 3 Stronger Together Level 2 is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary thriller and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.